Like, just take it in.
So if we don't do it, we're silly.
I just say closer is better.
How many podcasts have you guys done together? You just said the other podcast.
Oh, no,
he did one in LA. Yeah, like a few weeks ago.
I think I've done 5 total as like a guest. Danny hosts them, so he's experienced. He's a vet.
I know I'm a feel a little intimidated today.
The vet, pro.
Fucking pro.
He's gonna be judging. He's gonna be judging.
Me. He's super gonna judge.
You already got us beat.
Judge me.
If you mess up, he's gonna knock out points.
But that's not because of me. That's because of Phil.
Hey,
are we going?
Oh.
Yeah, we're going.
We're always
going.
like,
we just dive in.
He turned it on about like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, we recording already? Oh, cool.
Always. Yeah.
Well, and then I cut it out.
It's just, he just likes to make me feel good with the music.
Oh, cool.
And I talk through it all.
This is the intro.
Hi.
Oh, that's it, huh?
Phil.
Yeah.
That's quick.
I was just
That's
getting
it. We're
into
in.
it. I was just
Here
getting
we
into
are.
it.
That's it.
You have to drop some lyrics.
Just throw
get right
you
to it.
right in the deep end.
Danielle, hello.
Hi. How are you? Happy.
Good.
Oh, happy day.
Happy day.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Friday the 13th.
Did you guys?
Oh, it's supposed to be a full moon tonight, too.
Yeah.
How often does that happen? What is that noise?
It's a weird. I saw a statistic today. It was
maybe it's a phone.
I'm gonna find it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that
Someone
was
said something.
Maybe
I can pull it out. You know what? Hold on.
No, it's on a phone.
I'm going to test that while we're here.
Okay, let's.
Test, baby. Test, baby.
I don't
1, 2.
Okay, good.
Right, ready.
So,
full moon.
Full moon. Yep. And
That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
good.
we got
Next.
So we got dude, Danny, you got to tell
taking over today.
you got to tell me the name again because we got
Ojinaga.
Sal and Danny.
Ojinaga.
Ojinaga?
Mine's Salvador for real. If you want to.
Do you
Salvador.
prefer that?
Now, is it Chavez or Chavez?
Prefer to be called
You know
Salvador?
what? I was just so used to Sal in my life, forever and ever. But then, like, the more I was getting involved with Mexico, I became Salvador all over, and like really, I became.
That sounds way sexier. Anyway.
I embrace it a lot more now. I prefer it now.
Nice.
Before I used to not, but it was also because I was just used to Sal.
Right.
So, but now Salvador seems to be.
It
Salvador.
seems that I met Sal bajillion years ago.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
that's a long time.
That's a long time.
That was a long time
before the dinosaurs.
Years ago.
Or at least that.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, it was eight years ago.
Ago?
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I think we met because of the cafe.
The cafe, yep, and then
And
shiso,
sushi
yep,
after that.
afterwards.
Sushi
Yep,
after that.
That's right.
Yep. Right.
Yeah. Cafe first.
And then I hit the road. I used to live in Sonoma. I lived there for 8 years. And then
you moved on.
Fascinating place.
I came here. Yeah, it's kind of small.
It's very small.
It's kind of small. And when you go through like real life shit in a small
quaint.
town like that, everybody knows your business. And that wasn't super awesome for me. But anyway.
I mean, most towns in Sonoma County, I think, are kind of.
Yeah, I mean, Petalima's getting
like
smaller now that I'm doing this, and I'm getting to know more and more people. So now I can't walk through town without seeing somebody that I know, which is fine for the most part. But
It's
also,
one of those love-hate things. Like,
yeah,
it's so nice.
you go.
Great,
That's
like,
why I always
today I
ended
just
up
want to
over
be alone.
Mario and John's. Actually, that's how I ended up over there because I knew every time I go to Mario and John's. Wait,
You can get a hot dog.
Was it was you that? Or no. Well, that.
Yeah.
We did an
That's
episode.
Thursdays,
This
yeah.
is how. Okay, so let me just explain
Oh, I
how
heard
all this
that.
happened.
And
You
listened
guys,
to that
you guys
episode, yes.
write children's books, right? Is that what we're doing?
Who?
What?
I know, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I don't know.
Actually, that is my lifelong goal.
to write.
To be honest.
Well, if I'm going to write a book, that's how it's going to end up.
We did an episode that here we had another guest, Buka. There's 3 of us that every time I don't have a guest or somebody cancels, it's just, we end up getting the 3 of us.
Every Friday.
And we do this every Friday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Every now and then somebody will have to cancel. So we'll bring Buka in. So there was 3 of us talking and Buka was telling us about Mario and John's and how they do this hot dog Thursday thing, whatever. Mario and John's I had just discovered it because of that. And I realized it was a great place to go on dates because nobody would know me there. But consequently,
long did
I
that
kept
last?
going with a first date, but never.
So your
a second or a
homies
third.
never went to Mario and John's?
No.
No. Huh.
Yeah, I wonder why. But Buka obviously did because he
people
told
go
us
to
about
Mario
it.
and John's.
But yeah, well, anytime I went there, I didn't know anybody, so I'm like, this is great. I know.
When did they open?
Because
Anyone?
So it was technically open in the mid 40s. So
Right.
yeah. So then, but then
When
Nick and Micah took it over in September 2013. And then we
Gotcha.
opened end of February 2014.
Nice.
so people have talked about how it's just been remodeled or something in the last Was it before they opened it
14,
in 13?
Yeah.
14?
So when we opened, so they remodeled everything, or not everything. I mean, Nick is a contractor by trade, so he did a lot of the work in the space. And then just every year he would just add a little bit of something, a little bit more, and then we'd add more booze, every year to the back bar. I mean, that was kind of like
a towny bar before, right?
Yeah. I mean, but
now it's like,
because there was no windows really. Apparently there was like a window, like to the left of the front door, the right of the front door. And then everything else was just kind of dark. It was just, there's a lot of, I guess, kind of like dive bars in Petaluma. So, and being in that neighborhood, I mean, even that neighborhood is really kind of expanded and grown and shuffled about as far as the type of people that have come in there. So, yeah.
Like me now.
It was neighborhood.
Yeah. It's still a neighborhood bar. And even when we did the change, we'd still try to be like, oh, we're a neighborhood cocktail bar, but,
it's a good place. I feel like it's a kind of a best kept secret type of place. When you consider what is here, you either have the kind of dive bar situation, or you have nice places like Whisper Sisters now,
or the Buckhorn.
That's like way over on the other side of town, right?
Buckhorn's awesome.
Apparently they do karaoke on Saturday nights.
Where's the Buckhorn? Where's that?
It's like on
Petaluma Boulevard, but way down like by the
alley.
Yeah.
Down
that way. Sort of. Not quite that far, but yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I used to live over there. When I first moved to Petaluma, that's kind of over by where I lived. And
Foundry Wharf, I guess.
There a few times.
Right?
Yeah. I found out last week they have karaoke on Saturdays.
There you go.
Yes.
I didn't sing. All right, so we went from 10 years ago or whatever at Picazo to sushi.
Yep.
8. And then all of a sudden you became the shit in Sonoma, right? I left and all of a sudden I'm hearing, Sal this, Sal that, right? School boards and La Luz and all this stuff.
It's all happened in stages, but I mean, the school board was kind of like the first thing that popped off, I guess, and then, after that, it just started kind of going to different opportunities. And, the one thing about Sonoma is there's an abundance of nonprofits. And what they don't have a lot of is involvement on the board level, at least from Latinos and young Latinos especially. So that was always a draw, and they were always kind of like, I don't know how many people or boards asked me to join. Obviously, it was impossible to do all of them, and so I always I stuck with the core amount of them, which was the school board, but that's technically a public position, and then the La Luz board. And then after I left the school board last November, I joined the Ed Foundation board. But admittedly so, I've done a really poor job attending the last 6 months there, just because the spirits company and all the other business and stuff has kept me on the road a lot, and then just busy and, just life. So, it's kind of bittersweet at this point, because I feel bad. I've always said I don't want to do a bad job at that role,
right?
Because it's an important one. And so, but they keep on, they're very forgiving, because they're also understanding that if you want to invite young people to those things, then they
have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because most of the boards they consist of retired people, and a little more time, maybe a little bit more funds, and then they can devote their time to it. But on a personal level, that's not really the case. And so, they're forgiving though. And so every time I try to say, hey, maybe I should take a leave of absence, or like, no, you're good. I'm like,
you're staying.
Leave of absence at work. Yeah, it's okay. It's been cool though. I have felt that, I can work effectively when I am there. And then when I'm not there, they'll call me or email or whatever. Some cool initiatives have started since I joined them, and so it's been fun. But that's kind of what happened. And I would say that put me more in a public light, but everything else I'd been doing was still stuff that I was doing, but it just wasn't as public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Puente, this started in what, 15?
Conceptually. Yeah. We didn't launch until April 1st of 2016.
Puente?
Bridge. Puente.
Right.
I wasn't sure. Do you want like the English translation?
No.
Or what are you trying to understand?
So you started a bridge?
No.
Cool.
Explain us what Puente
Internacional is a company. It's a company that was formed, at first it was solely for, La Luna Mezcal, for Mezcal. And then, after that it evolved into adding, rum from Michoacan, and then lastly tequila. And so then we became a spirits company. But once again, originally the whole the whole theme was just Michoacan and mezcal, because my family's from Michoacan. Right. So that was like the whole idea. It was just very simple and basic. And then just evolved into those things. And, now we're 2019 kind of trying to make it happen.
So spirits in general, was this something that had been on your radar before and you thought someday this is something I want to do, or this fell in your lap?
No, it definitely didn't fall in my lap, but so what was going on is at the cafe, I was always there, and I was behind the counter, and at some point through the school board and La Luz board, I met a lot of influential people and people that kind of, I would say, would mentor me a little bit, like not officially, but they would always kind of get, we'd sit down, chat. And at one point they kind of looked at me and said, there's got to be a next step for you, right? Like, you don't envision yourself here forever. And I said, no, definitely not. And at that point I felt like they had coined me an entrepreneur, and I had kind of bought into that idea. I felt like it was all about confidence. And once I gained a little bit in that idea of being an entrepreneur, like, then I was like, oh, then I can maybe do this and maybe do that. And so then, and kind of just like laying in bed thinking about my next steps, I came across a cool article that was kind of corny now that I look back at it, but it was from Market Watch, and it said mezcal worms its way onto U.S. shelves. And I read the article and I was like, oh, like my whole life I had seen my father, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, which all live here in Petaluma. When we would go back to Cotija, where we're from, they would be munching on Cotija cheese and sipping mezcal, because that's like the perfect pairing of the mezcal that made in that region. And so that's something that I was like, oh, that's what I should do. I should go back to Michoacan and bring back a mezcal, because in the article is very straightforward. All mezcal at the time was coming from Oaxaca. So, but they mentioned that other states were being added to the denomination of origin, and one of them was Michoacan. So I was like, okay, there it is. So then that was it.
Can I be the dumb white guy?
Sure.
Mezcal, when I was younger,
yeah,
it was always eat the worm, but I thought it was tequila, man.
No, so I would just.
But is it like, are we talking like champagne, sparkling wine kind of?
Yeah,
thing?
It's semantics. Really
seriously.
Yeah, it's so seriously. Well, not really semantics, but I would say more regions in the sense of, what came first and foremost, right? That's one. So mezcal came first. And then secondarily, every tequila is a mezcal, just like by definition.
Okay.
So that when you said the champagne thing, a lot of people just, every champagne is sparkling wine, but not every sparkling wine's a champagne.
Right.
So
and
every
French
tequila,
get really touchy, man.
Yeah, I bet. Every tequila is a mezcal, but every mezcal is not a tequila. That's the right way. At one point, in the history of it, the dates elude me, but tequila was known as mezcal de tequila, because tequila is an actual region in Jalisco.
Okay.
And then, once they made their move into being their own specific category or denomination of origin, then that kind of solidified them as tequila. So tequila now can be made in 5 states, I believe, in Mexico. Okay. But very specifically can only be made from blue web or agave. That's one of the specifics of it. Whereas mezcal, I think we're 13 states now in the denomination of origin, at least 11.
Oh, okay.
And, the kind of maguey or agave you can use to make mezcal it's so wide and deep.
38, I think I read yesterday.
That's probably low.
Got it.
Yeah, because there are, of the ones that might be noted like scientifically, there's a bunch of different varietals within the.
So now I'm wondering why the fuck was types. I ever drinking tequila? Mezcal? No, but mezcal seems like it's a lot more interesting.
So you can get a lot more variants. Right now, or what?
Yeah, we can pop
yes,
some.
Please.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. Like this is not my area expertise. This whole cocktails in general, we all have established on many episodes that Danielle's like a dumbass when it comes to making cocktails.
But drinking?
So here's the thing. I literally first discovered mezcal in January. I went down to Mexico by myself, and right across from the Airbnb I was in was a little mezcal bar. Like dinky, like the size of the Insayalita.
Oh, I know which one you were talking about. I was just there.
It's such a great place, right? Yeah. All of their stuff is in like these little apothecary jars.
Narrow, the place.
You can go like in one door and straight out the other door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was right across from my Airbnb. So I was there every night. And so it was the first time I'd actually tried it. And I don't know that I can understand it though, because I got to know the bartender pretty well, and he was making all the fancy shit cocktails, which were amazing. But I think when I'm learning how to drink something, I feel like I would rather drink it without all of the stuff.
To
understand.
The curious thing about mezcal today is, this is the best way to do it. What we're doing right now, what you did at Cava is, what you should have done is drink it neat.
Yes.
Appreciate it for what it is. Get the aromatics, all of the notes on the palate. But